A young man asked this particular question. A young man did this particular video 5 years ago, but this video is now trending. Now, the reason why this video is trending is the job that this white man actually put into this particular video. And when I saw it on my FYP, I said, let me bring this video to you guys so that you guys can actually see. And this video is just, what are you doing to white? Anyways, let's go ahead and roll out the clip so that you guys can watch first before I will know exactly what I will say, right? If you have not subscribed, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And guys, this is just for educational purpose, not to bash anyone. This is just for we to educate ourselves, especially as a black person. You need to watch this video from beginning to the end before dropping a comment. And if you have seen this video trending on your FYP as well, let me know, because I really love to get your take on that. With that being said, let's go ahead. Let me roll out the clips for you guys, and I will be back with commentaries. I love you guys.
Let's talk about what we're doing to white people. There's been something going on for a while now that we're being told not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept the rising tide of racial hatred against white people. In the past decade, there has been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid, in the early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. But the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying something offhanded about white people were seen as not appropriate, just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race. But that soon gave way to our current times, in which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people. I believe this is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that every societal ill is the fault of white people, and that whatever prejudice acts we may inflict upon them does not constitute discrimination because we don't have the power to discriminate. And alarmingly, this is particularly pronounced in the younger generation. But is it true? Do we not have the power to discriminate? Well, let's see. First, let's take a look at the racial hatred at the interpersonal level. In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race. And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather a form of empowerment. They'll attribute negative experiences that they've had with white people to their whiteness. You had an argument in line at the grocery store with a white person? They were acting entitled because they were white. A white driver cut you off when you were driving? They need to check their white privilege. Your actions, your conduct, and your existence, in other words, boil down to your whiteness. And ashamedly, at one point in time, this was how I used to think as well. And beyond the people in my circle, I noticed that many people of color have this sort of blasé attitude, an attitude most particularly pronounced when there are no other white people around. Things are being said not just behind closed doors, but out in the open, not just between close friends, but between complete strangers. So here's the thing. This is something that I've experienced countless times, so I know that there are other people who are experiencing it too. I know it must resonate with at least some of you. The difficulty here is that no matter how many anecdotes I share, they are just that, anecdotes. And people who refuse to believe that this is happening will just chalk it up to my experiences being a fluke. Or worse yet, they'll say I'm lying. So I've compiled some TikTok videos. I want you to take a look at the things that are being said about white people, especially by the younger generation, the kind of statements people wouldn't dare say about people of any other race. Take a look at what is stunningly in vogue in today's society, and ask yourselves, where does this lead to years down the line? Up to the grumblings of the powerless. That's the idea that when you have a power disparity, the less powerful sort of has this general society given leeway to complain about the more powerful. The villagers complaining about their king doesn't have the same ring as the king making snide and crude comments about the villagers. But that's not what's going on here. Because although certain segments of our society refuse to believe this, even as evidence mount before our very eyes, in one side of the political aisle, people of color actually have greater power than white people. That is the truth that is not being acknowledged by the people that need to hear it, because this gets in the way of them wielding that power in the way they want, malignantly. I've heard from somewhere that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is certainly correct. We have a mainstream culture that tells us it's okay to hold prejudice and hateful view of white people, and our politics is then infused with this energy, and we see active, overt, and on the books racial discrimination of white people that those who are perpetuating this hatred is refusing to see as discrimination. They'll say, no, this is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And this is certainly evidence that in one side of the political aisle, people of color have more power than white people. Because if we didn't have the power, we wouldn't be able to put into place practices and policies that does this. That's what power is. Things like Minneapolis local government agreeing to a contract with the teachers union that says white teachers must be fired first. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment. A college professor that says white people should be killed and facing no repercussions. Cornell University banning white people from rock climbing lessons. One of many instances of liberal colleges doing the utmost to exclude and ostracize white students. BIPOC-only events equal no whites, but they don't have the guts to say that, even though that is what that is. That's what makes this different than the mere grumblings of the common villager. The villagers have surrounded the palace, demanding Marie Antoinette's head. The power dynamics have shifted. That is a fact. Progressive media outlets do not cover these stories. Some people out there have no idea that this is going on. But worse, some others out there know but agree with what's going on. And for those people to convince themselves that this is not racial discrimination, they play mind tricks and word games. They use phrases and talking points like punching up. You can't be racist to white people. You can't oppress the oppressor, meaning I'm acting oppressively, but I've designated you as the oppressor, so everything goes. Or Ibram X. Kendi's infamous words, the only way to remedy past discrimination is current discrimination. Or when people say things like, what we're doing to white people is not racism, because racism is prejudice plus power, and we don't have the power. They use all this mind-bending apparatus to delude themselves into believing what they're doing faces no moral quandary. But in the back of their minds, perhaps in their subconscious minds, is racial revenge. We experienced it, you experienced it too. See how you like it. That people of color are using our newfound power to act this way and then pretend like none of this is going on leads me to believe that we would have done the same thing that white people did were we to be in their historical position. Because such acts have its roots in human nature, not white people nature. And one can only imagine what might happen in the coming decades when the demographics of the US will have shifted such that white people will no longer constitute the majority, when the younger generation you've just seen have graduated from elite schools and hold positions of power in our institutions, our government, corporations, entertainment, news media, and so forth, how they might, in wielding the levers of society, be able to rationalize, using their adult brain, the hatred that was embedded in their minds during their adolescence. What we're seeing is just the beginning. To the white people who are watching, I just want to say, you are not an oppressor for refusing to accept an ideology that teaches people to hate you, that teaches you that you are inherently bad, that your children are inherently bad, that you are inherently racist no matter what you do or how you think, that you need to repent by taking affirmative steps in your life to redress harms that your ancestors may have done, or the racist actions of other white people. In fact, you are not an oppressor, period. You did not choose to be born white, just like any of us did not choose to be born in our race. And to ask of you, at the individual level, for example, to give your life in service of people of color, to be used as physical barriers at protests, to give away your house to black people instead of your children, all actual things that have been publicly demanded of white people, to ask this of you is morally reprehensible collective punishment. You are not under any obligation to carry yourself in any sort of way that others demand of you just because of the color of your skin. This, you need to do this and you need to do that because you benefit from privilege thing is bogus. It is just a way for people harboring racial animus to attack you, to say that the accomplishments you've achieved in your life isn't yours, and to silence you. It is not you. It is this ideology that is wrong and perverse. It is one cloaked in a shroud of pseudo-justice and self-righteousness, all the while excreting toxic fumes of racial hatred. It blames all white people for the actions of their ancestors, something you have no control over, while absolving black people of personal responsibility for their own individual actions by holding that black people commit acts of harm, for example, towards another community. That's the fault of white supremacy. White people are controlling them like puppets on a string. It's a backwards, transgressive ideology. If you don't harbor any hate in your heart but want to fight it as a matter of principle, this does not make you racist or bigoted. If you refuse to accept their premise in your head, but are too afraid to voice your opinion, you're neither a coward nor a bad person. If you're of a liberal bent, but there's a small corner in your brain telling you as you're watching this video that perhaps some of this is wrong, listen to your intuition. Maybe you think, oh, I agree with most of what the progressive left teaches about racial justice, but just not with some of this disagreeable stuff, only at the extremes. I'm here to tell you that the rot starts at the core. This racial hatred of white people is a natural outgrowth, part and parcel of an ideology that attempts to indoctrinate us into believing that there is current systemic oppression going on, that all racial disparities we see today is the sole result of oppression by white people, when there are other more plausible explanations to be had that these same people are silencing as impermissible hate speech. They're telling you, shut up, you'll take it, and you'll like it. But contrary to what they're saying, you don't have to take that. You can believe that the things that have been done in the past were morally wrong, as well you should, all the while believing that what is currently going on is also wrong, that we're going backwards, that this is history rhyming with itself, the table is turning in an eye for an eye manner. As the great Mahatma Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. But those driven by hatred would sooner gouge everyone's eyes out than realize that true victory for people of color would have been having history record that when the power dynamics shifted, we treated white people with a kindness that their forefathers may not have shown our forefathers. But now, it will say when we gained the power, we turned around and started doing some of the same stuff to white people. Segregation, social ostracization, hatred sanctioned by government and law. And we're doing all of this while pretending like we're doing something valiant. We've missed our bus. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a course correction. So, to some people of color watching who are engaging in this sort of hatred, whether or not you're acutely aware, the same people that act like white people as a collective are not people, but rather some pernicious alien force that has come to invade the earth. With this video, I implore you to ask yourself, what are we doing to white people? As some people love to say, do better. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope that this new year brings you love, joy, and light. 2022 was a really difficult year for me, but the difficult times were interspersed with times of happiness. Some of the happiest moments of my life, actually. So I'm grateful for 2022 and excited for 2023. I hope you're as well. Please do not give up your resolutions in January. Stick it out till March, like I do.
This could cost me followers, and if it does, I'm okay, because I know I've lost the right ones. In 2024, if you don't understand that white privilege doesn't equal financial privilege, there's a good chance it's because you choose to be willfully ignorant. White privilege doesn't mean that you grew up rich or that you didn't have a hard life. It's the concept that by the mere coincidence of you being born white or white presenting, that you have an inherent privilege. You're afforded certain benefits of the doubt that not everyone gets. It's the difference from a white person walking into a store and a customer salesperson walking up and saying, "Hi, can we help you find something today?" To a black person walking in that same store with that same customer service person following them around because they looked kind of suspicious. It's the black family that can't leave their family photos hanging on the wall when they're selling their house because the home appraiser might undervalue their house by as much as $500,000. And for fuck's sakes, you've never had to apologize for being white. Had your parents fucked on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday, you wouldn't even be you. Rather, just acknowledge that the system that was designed by and for people that look like you has never been a level playing field. I hope this made it clear. Have a great fucking weekend.
Have a token white and you're hanging out with your friend group of color, you need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
Accomplices ask, how can they support Black and Indigenous people of color? And sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Just don't have babies.
Women can single-handedly cause the white genocide that they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and 500 million white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations. In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde hair.
Just about white American culture, being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment. The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded a punishment? Yeah. They also say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent? It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
So that new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix is the perfect example of the sensationalization of white violence. People have a much easier time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. People think these shows are harmless, but they actually contribute to a much bigger issue. It contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else, and white violence is something to be consumed in media, and that's it.
What is with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room? Like, y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were black, right? White people do not need to explain to anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby, you all are the people that need to learn that lesson. Clearly, history shows that you all are the people that like to pillage and eradicate, enslave and oppress, attempt to suppress greatness because you all simply don't have it.
White women love to say we're all in this together, but are we? Because history suggests otherwise. Feminism has frequently been about white women first, expecting Black, Indigenous, Latina, and Asian women to stand behind them. Not beside them, behind them. And if we're being honest, it only ever seems to matter when they're the ones that are affected. This isn't about division, it's about reality. Let's talk about it. From the very start, white women have been centered in every movement that they've led. While women of color, we've been expected to serve. Black women were enslaved, forced to raise white children, clean white homes, and cook white families' meals, while their own families suffered. Indigenous women were displaced, stripped of their land, and forced into assimilation schools designed to erase their culture. Asian women were brought as cheap labor, confined to back-breaking jobs, and denied the right to citizenship. Latinas have long been exploited in this country, in agriculture and domestic work, and paid pennies for labor that sustains this country. And when white women started pushing for rights, for equality, for change, they expected women of color to fight right beside them, but never for them. Women of color stood side by side with white women, fighting for the right to vote. But when the 19th Amendment passed in 1920, white women celebrated. Black women in the South still blocked from the polls for another 45 years. Indigenous women, not even considered citizens until 1924. Asian women, legally barred from becoming citizens, which meant they couldn't vote until 1952. And Latinas, they faced literacy tests and language barriers that kept them from the ballot box. And white feminists, they moved on. They got what they wanted, and just like that, our fight became an afterthought. In the 1960s and 70s, a second wave of feminism came about. White women, now they were fighting for equal pay, reproductive rights, and workplace equality. Sounds great, right? Until women of color said, what about racism? What about forced sterilization? What about economic discrimination? That's what keeps us underpaid and overworked. The response was essentially, let's focus on women's issues first, as if racism, medical discrimination, and generational poverty weren't women's issues. Once again, our struggles were too complicated, too messy, too inconvenient for the feminism that they were building. And once again, white women expected us to fight beside them, but not for ourselves. Now let's talk about who white women actually fight for. Because if you want to know where someone stands, you look at their vote. In 2016, 53% of white women voted for Trump, a man who openly bragged about SA. In 2020, they tried to fix it by voting him out. And in 2024, the majority of them put him right back in office. Meanwhile, 92% of Black women, we voted to protect everybody. The polls don't lie. Latinas and Asians, Indigenous women continue to fight for sovereignty and representation. But white women, too many chose whiteness over sisterhood. Again. And here's what's wild. Feminism always expects us to march, to organize, to fight. But when it's time for white women to show up where it really matters, they don't. White feminists today expect women of color to be front and center when their rights are under attack. They want us out in the streets for Roe v. Wade, but where were they when Black and Indigenous women were being forcibly sterilized? They want us to fight for equal pay, but won't acknowledge that Black and Latina women still make significantly less than them. They'll post Black Lives Matter, but won't call out the racism in their own families, their friend groups, or their workplaces. Because here's the truth. White feminism only truly mobilizes when white women feel the impact. The moment they're comfortable again, the urgency disappears. This isn't about division. It's about accountability. Throughout history, women of color have stood beside white women in their fight for equality, led movements for racial and social justice, often alone, built coalitions, voted for change, and showed up, whether or not it benefited us directly. And what we've seen over and over again is when white women get what they need, they move on. It's not bitterness, it's reality. And we finally heard y'all loud and clear.
Here go y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city. Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it. So y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity thing. You feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and you would never. First of all, if you are a male monster, that is how your ancestors got everything, from stealing.
And that's a behavior that's very common among white women. You may have not intended that, but there are many white women who act exactly like you.
If you can find it in your heart this holiday season to donate to the Discriminated White Fund, you'd be helping millions.
Nothing says high protein like cicadas and cheese. Make sure you...
And nothing says caucasity like that right there.
We are inherently a danger in spaces for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color simply by existing.
It's white cis men who are a part of the far right-winged ideology of fascism. That is a true threat and the terrorism to this country.
If BIPOCs stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, I hate all white people, I want all white people to go die, die white devil, you cracker bitch, that's still not racism.
You're not one of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are them. We are the ones shooting up schools. We are the ones raping people, the ones enslaving people.
And I'll say it. I hate being white. Which means I'm one of the good ones.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yes.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition of racism, yes, but it's not gonna hurt them and hurt their opportunities like it does people of color.
While technically you can, it's not like an issue.
You can't oppress the oppressor.
It helps you sleep at night. I'm racist to white people and I'm proud of it.
Why do people not understand that you can't be racist to white people? It's impossible. The system is not set up that way. You can insult white people, but it is not racism. Me calling a white person a tub of mayonnaise and like a flower looking ass, that's not racism.
You went all the way to Africa to physically take Black people from their homes, shove them in on boats where a lot of them got diseases and died, told them where they could sit on a bus, told them which schools they could go to, which water fountains they could use, which bathrooms they could use, and that's sugarcoating it. Those are just terms. I'm not even describing all the disgusting things that happen, and they don't even want revenge. They are letting you guys skate by asking for equal rights. That's it? And you're still saying no? They are not as angry as they should be. Y'all are getting off easy and you're still saying no? Fuck you.
What really happened to white people? That's a very, very big question. That's a very, very big question. It is not really a question, but it is actually a food for thought. You see why I keep saying it in my videos that it is good for we as people that look like me to actually go ahead and educate their children on different versions. These guys said they were taught. They were taught how to act. They were taught what to do. And the moment black people do the same thing, it becomes reverse racism. So this whole of this video is to educate us that whatsoever we put in the hands of our children is what they are going to run with. And please, do not put evil in the hands of your children. Do not put racism in the hands of your children. Make sure that every single thing you are going to be putting in their hands are things that can actually help them grow, are things that can actually help them think well, are things that can actually help them build their society. Despite the fact that we know that, yes, the society is not too favorable to people that look like me, except to some certain kind of people. But it is important that you let these kids know that this thing that they are doing is either wrong, is either evil or good. Do you get? That is one thing I've seen in this particular video. And every single thing that the first clip said is correct as far as I'm concerned. To the last clip, they are all correct. Because if you check 99% of what is really happening, you will know that this is actually what they are saying. That's why when I saw this particular video trending, I was like, okay, let me do more research and bring it for you guys so that we guys can also get some things out of it. And if I see some of this younger generation of the palm-colored people, I feel like literally what they have been going through, they have been having like their toughest time. They have been having like the difficulties of being a white person. I can tell you that for a whole fact. That is why some of them can just come out from nowhere, looking out to their frustration, and then do some crazy things that they are not even supposed to do. Because why? Their brought up has been tampered with, their brought up has been dealt with, their brought up has been rubbished as far as I'm concerned. So even if you're watching as a white person, because I know that there are some white folks that really know the truth, I know that there are some white folks that are good out there, I know that there are some white folks that will never teach their kids to do the wrong thing. Please try your possible best to do more so that the society will not rebet your children for you. One of the places I know that children learn a lot of annoying thing is a place, their school environment, their work environment, their people they talk to, people they communicate with. So, and the moment they start feeding on these evil things, it will be hard for them to erase it out of their mind. Do you get? So, please educate your children, educate your kids. Tell them what and what they should know, which is the right thing, not the wrong thing. Because every single thing that all of these videos said are things that the black people are actually going through on daily activities. Do you get? You can see that this first clip that I played for you, this guy video was like 2 years ago, but it started trending again. It started trending again because what he said was bringing in some important awareness that a lot of people should be aware about. And I'm so grateful that I came across the video so that me and you can also know the right thing to tell our children, so that me and you can also know the right thing to do as an adult. Whenever you see something that is wrong, you come out to say it plainly that this thing is wrong. Yes, we know that for someone that look like me, we've been tampered with, they've angered us. In fact, if as at this point, if not because we are strong people, we would have just crashed out. A lot of them cannot really take what they are doing to us if we do it back to them. And we've seen several videos of some of them that are good enough also coming out to air out their opinion, saying that this thing that we are doing, we know it is not right. This is how the system is being built, but we are going to change our narratives. So as a black, as a white person, if you're watching this video and you have a certain bad narrative towards a particular race, please drop it. It won't take us anywhere. It will just keep dragging us backward. I said it in one of my videos, and I think a lot of people have been saying it recently. You see, this is not a battle of left or right, front or back, middle, or this is a battle of ourselves. This is a battle of we coming to love ourselves. We coming to understand the other race. We coming to know exactly what is supposed to be done to this person. But I will always keep reminding you that no matter what, remember that if you're eating with the devil, you have to eat with a long spoon. So that at the end of the day, you don't do too much that will lead you to a very deep, regrettable end. Anyways, I leave you that with this. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts towards this particular video. If you have not subscribed, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share for every other person to get this good news. This is just for educational purpose. Credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And guys, we do not support any form of violence. We do not support any form of fight here. This is just educating each other. So I stand a chance to be corrected. Feel free to correct me whenever you think I'm wrong. I love to take correction. Especially, I love to interact in my comment section. Anyways, with no further ado, I do like I say in my videos. I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you. Mwah.